What is Minecraft Silver Age? I like to think of it as the sort of forgotten middle child of Minecraft versions. You know, you have the modern versions, which obviously most people are going to play. And then you have what people call the Golden Age Minecraft versions, which are like old alpha and old beta mainly, which are so old that they kind of just seem like a different game. But then as an even more niche subculture, you have the Silver Age Minecraft versions, which generally are just the early release versions of the game. Most people define it as beta 1.8 to release 1.6 or release 1.8. The ending version is a little harder to pin down. I think you could argue for a few different versions, but the beginning version of Minecraft Silver Age is definitely beta 1.8. You got to put it here because this was such an influential and such a game-changing, literally game-changing version of Minecraft. Beta 1.8 was the first part of the adventure update, and the adventure update as a whole just completely changed the direction of the game. The world generation was totally overhauled. A hunger and sprinting system was added, which is still controversial to this day for many people. And instead of just being a completely open sandbox with absolutely no goals, the game actually added more structures, more loot to find, and an entire sort of like quest line. I don't know what to call it, but an entire like end boss. So it was official that Minecraft was no longer just a sandbox game. Like, this is a game that you can beat now. You can play it and beat it and get to an end credit scene. Now, the Silver Age Minecraft versions do have a small and dedicated fan base, but it doesn't seem quite as popular as like Golden Age Minecraft version, you know, as like beta or alpha Minecraft. Now, to be fair, I don't actually know that for certain. There's no way that I know of to see like the actual official numbers of who's playing what old version, but just from like posts I see online, videos I see people making, not as many people talk about the early release versions of the game, the Silver Age versions of the game, which is really interesting to me because first of all, when these versions were first coming out, Minecraft was a lot more popular, or it was growing a lot faster in popularity than it was during the so-called Golden Age versions. And personally, I think there is kind of a lot for these versions to offer, and I could see someone arguing that these versions are even quite a bit underrated in terms of old Minecraft versions. Okay, so first off, why would someone go back and play these old versions of Minecraft? Well, it's pretty much the same reason that anyone would go back and play any of the old versions, and the main reason being it's just a simpler form of the game. A lot of people find themselves being overwhelmed by all the stuff that's in Minecraft, all the new features, all the new mechanics, all the new mobs, all the new blocks that are in the game. That's one thing that I personally feel, and I know a lot of people feel, is just sometimes there's just too many blocks, and it just, when you go back to a simpler version of the game with the smaller selection of blocks and items, it actually does just help you build somehow. Like, it removes this sort of decision paralysis. It sounds weird, but like I think there's a real psychological effect there, because again, that's something that I have felt before pretty strongly, and I know a lot of people feel that, and it's the reason they go back to these old versions. It's kind of a more humble time in the game, and you almost feel like less pressure when you're just playing or building in general. There's not as many like crazy farms or insane like end game stuff for you to get. So it's sort of like more relaxing, if that makes sense. I don't know. I've talked about why people go back and play old versions of Minecraft before, but specifically we're talking about the Silver Age. So why does someone go back and play these versions, these early release versions of the game? Like, why wouldn't you just go all the way back to something like beta 1.7.3 or like alpha 1.1? But there's several reasons why you might not want to go back that far, and why the Silver Age might be a sweet spot for you. Well, first off, honestly, there's just a lot of like quality of life features in these versions that just aren't there in beta Minecraft. Things that make your life easier, like creative mode. In beta Minecraft, if you don't have a mod installed, you don't really have any creative mode. You're locked to survival mode. So it's nice to have that mode where you can just go in and go in a world and maybe just try out a build or just test something out or just have fun. Also, things like stackable food is really nice. A lot of people complain about not being able to stack food in older beta versions. Inventory management in general, over the course of these Silver Age versions, we get more and more really nice, just like quality of life inventory management stuff, you know, more shift clicking, drag clicking, that sort of thing. The armor system was improved, and in version 1.2.1, the height limit was doubled. which was really nice because the height limit was not very tall before the adventure update. It was pretty small. I mean, from ground level, you only had about like 60 or a little over 60 blocks to work with. You also have sprinting. Now, sprinting is a pretty simple change, but it's a pretty big one in terms of the way that the game is played. Most people who play the game today probably can't imagine playing without sprinting. But if you go back to like old beta versions, you're kind of stuck to just walking around, you know, unless you use a boat or a minecart. And a lot of people actually like that. Sprinting is kind of controversial in like the old Minecraft community. A lot of people like that it's slower paced, you know, that you can't just run everywhere. But other people, they just find it limiting, and it kind of feels stifling to not be able to sprint everywhere. So if you're the type of person who likes sprinting, you may actually enjoy Silver Age Minecraft versions better than Golden Age Minecraft versions, just for that simple reason. Silver Age versions also offer more building blocks, which I know I was just talking about how, oh, you know, people like the simplicity of the older versions because there's less building blocks. But I've seen a lot of people who play Silver Age Minecraft say that beta and before is just too limiting. There's not enough building blocks. And so the Silver Age kind of just adds a nice middle ground where there's just enough blocks for you to work with without the block palette becoming just completely overwhelming, and there's just way too much bloat in terms of Minecraft blocks. I personally can really see this one because when I first went back to beta, there were a few things I missed, and one of them being stone bricks and iron bars. I don't know why, but these blocks specifically, I just have always loved. I always feel like they fit the game really well, and you can make some really cool stuff with them, and they're just not there before the adventure update, which is really a shame because I feel like they would fit the game really well in beta Minecraft. But yeah, I saw someone say that they genuinely just went to Silver Age Minecraft just for stone bricks. And honestly, like that's valid. Like I get that. It's a good block. The adventure update also added magic into Minecraft in the forms of potions and enchanting. And I honestly think that's kind of cool. You know, when I'm playing beta, sometimes I kind of miss potions and enchanting only because it's kind of cool to have something that's like explicitly magic in Minecraft. It just adds a little bit of like whimsy and like a fantasy element to the game. And I can see why a lot of people would play these versions for those things, because obviously, you know, potions, very useful, as well as enchantments. Enchantments are so just like ingrained in so many people's idea of Minecraft these days. It's kind of hard to go back and play a version where there's not even any enchantments at all. You know, efficiency, unbreaking, fortune, silk touch, etc. You know, all the bow enchantments, all the sword enchantments, the armor enchantments. You know, those are actually really useful, and a lot of people like having those. It's just a way to upgrade your equipment past just having, you know, diamonds, which is all you have in old beta and before. I'll be honest though, for me personally, when I'm playing beta, I don't really care that I don't have like efficiency pickaxe or like I don't have speed potions. It's more just like, I think these features are cool because it gives you more of something to do. It gives you another part of your base to build. You know, build a potion room, build an enchanting room, build a farm to farm potion ingredients. And I think that is more so one of the things that people like about these versions is that there's just kind of more objectives. There's more stuff to do, like explicit stuff to do, rather than just always figuring out your own things you want to do, your own goals you want to achieve. There's more stuff to do in the Nether now that there's Nether fortresses, because honestly, without a Nether fortress, the Nether is just like a place with cool ambience. Like it's a spooky, just like desolate, kind of cool feeling place. But there wasn't really much of a reason. There wasn't like a really strong reason to go to the Nether. So I can see people liking that. And of course, the End and the Ender Dragon. Now that's a bit polarizing. Some people say like, oh, Minecraft doesn't need an end. It doesn't need an end boss. And I am also pretty much in that camp. I think it's weird. I never thought too much about the Ender Dragon, you know, when I first started playing Minecraft. But the more I think about it, and honestly, the more I played older versions that didn't have the end, I kind of realized it's a bit weird. You know, Minecraft kind of presents itself as like an open-ended do whatever you want game. And it's not that the Ender Dragon limits you necessarily, but it is a bit weird in a game like that to have a final boss and an end credits scene. The Minecraft world is so much bigger than this one single boss fight that honestly, once you know how to play the game, doesn't take like that long to get to. or to beat, especially in Silver Age versions, because these are early release versions, and the Ender Dragon fight is kind of it's kind of bland. It's pretty boring, and it's not very difficult at all. But I have since heard someone say that the Ender Dragon was basically added in for people who needed an objective in Minecraft, or in other words, they just didn't really know what to do, or they didn't really care too much about like making their own goals in the game, and they wanted the game to actually give them something to do. It also is kind of nice to have some objective in the game or some incentive to start playing. You don't really need to like defend yourself from the nighttime anymore. I mean, it's pretty easy to build defenses, and beds make it obsolete anyways. There's not too much reason to go mining and get better materials. You do have the hunger system, but it's not like food is that hard to obtain. So I can honestly see how it would be nice to have some sort of objective, some sort of reason to actually go and get better equipment, to maybe stockpile some potions or get some cool enchantments on your gear, right? Because there's this big challenge. You got to go through the nether, you got to fight these enemies, you got to go fight a giant dragon, you know, in another dimension. So it's kind of cool that the Ender Dragon is there, and it's not like it ends the game anyways. I mean, you do get the credits, but I mean, you just keep playing after that, so it still remains as, you know, this big sandbox experience. Kind of similar to this, there's also just a lot of new structures added in Silver Age versions. Later on, we got like the temples, the jungle temples, and the desert temples, which, in my opinion, are kind of like the lesser of structures. I think the best Minecraft structures are the ones that are procedurally generated. You know, no two are the same. Jungle temples and desert temples are pretty cool, but they're kind of only cool the first time you find them. Once you figure out their secrets and how they work, it's the same exact thing every time. And so it kind of just loses its magic instantly. For a game like Minecraft, I think the structures more like strongholds or mine shafts really excel. Speaking of, I do kind of like strongholds and mine shafts. I've mentioned this before in videos, but they are just these really cool, just old, dilapidated structures. You know, a lot of people like older Minecraft versions because they're a bit more lonely and isolated feeling. And part of that is there's not as many structures, but structures like these, I don't think they take away from that isolated feeling. I think that if anything, they can add to it in a way. I just love the idea of mining underground, and then you break into this old rotting mine shaft, because the implication is so cool. It's like, okay, there was an intelligent person here, or people here, who were actually like mining and building these things, and now they're not here. Like, what is going on? And it's a similar thing with the strongholds. I used to spend a lot of time as a kid just like thinking about and theorizing about, oh, who were the ancient peoples, you know, who was here before us in the Minecraft world, and is it all related? The mine shafts, the strongholds, the end, the nether fortresses, you know, what does it mean? I think I actually wrote a theory about it in the Minecraft forums. Like, I don't know how long ago, 10 or 11 years ago or something like that. But yeah, I think these are pretty cool. I like old ruined things. And the strongholds are more rare, but the mine shafts are pretty common, and they do make mining a little more interesting. That's another thing. Before the adventure update, the caves were a bit more one note. And don't get me wrong, I love caving in almost any version of Minecraft. I've caved so much in my beta world. I built an entire like mineshaft system that's specifically made just to find cave systems so I can go caving some more. But I have to admit, there's a lot of cool cave stuff added in the Silver Age versions. Again, like the mine shafts and also ravines, which are such a cool thing. It's just so cool. Whether you're finding a surface one or one underground, to just find this giant gash in the earth, you know, and it's almost always connected to more caves that are crisscrossing through its walls. Here's the thing with cave systems in these early release versions. They are really sprawling. From beta 1.8 to release 1.6, you have some of the biggest cave systems before the Caves and Cliffs update, of course, overhauled the underground. Now, from what I can gather, there's a couple reasons for this. The first one is actually mine shafts and ravines, which just help connect cave systems, you know? Caves that would normally not be connected suddenly are, because either there's like a mine shaft going through them, or there's a giant ravine that's cutting through them. But also, Beta 1.8 solved a bug in which caves would be cut off at chunk borders sometimes, and that alone also just increased the cave system size dramatically, because you can find some really cool sprawling caves here. I mean, tunnels that will just like crisscross and go in so many different directions you can barely keep up. Obviously, you'll never find anything as massive as like the chasms we have in modern Minecraft, but it is just a cool, really unique set of versions in which cave generation was kind of insane. Okay, I have to go on a tangent here. There is a guy on various Minecraft forums called TheMasterCaver, and to me and some other people, he's kind of a bit of a legend. He's known to be super knowledgeable about the game, especially about cave and underground generation. And as you might guess from his name, he really likes caving. I mean, like, the vast majority of what he does in any world is just caving. And I don't blame him. I think caving is one of the best parts of any Minecraft version. I think he recently hit like 1 million iron ore mined just for one of his Minecraft worlds that he has. So that just tells you how much that this guy loves caving and spelunking. This guy never updated to release 1.7 because they reduced the cave volume. He has produced some pretty cool diagrams and cave maps showing differences between cave generation between versions. And one of these shows what the underground looks like in this special set of versions where the caves were massive. You can see these straight lines with right angles. Those are obviously mine shafts. There's also the ravines. Those are the things that look like big worms. And you can pretty much tell how much these two things affect the cave systems, because there are, you know, the little spaghetti caves that otherwise probably wouldn't be connected to each other, but because of those ravines and mine shafts, they are. I don't know, it's a bit of a tangent, but I think it is really interesting how special and unique the cave generation is in the Silver Age of Minecraft. But honestly, besides all this other stuff, Silver Age of Minecraft is it just has a unique vibe. It has just a certain atmosphere around it, a certain look, a certain thing to it. And it's from a bunch of various things that are pretty, I think, unique and special to this version. First of all, the terrain generation. I did mention, you know, the world generation was changed, and a lot of people don't like it compared to beta. It seems maybe more boring, and there are parts that are, honestly, I don't like either. I think there's pros and cons to it. Like, the swamps are kind of terrible. I never understood why they chose this color for the swamps. It is a terrible, ugly color. It's like they said, hey, let's choose the ugliest color we can for the grass and the leaves here. But whatever. There's some biomes that actually are pretty nice. Like the forest biome is still pretty green. It's not as green and vibrant as some of the beta biomes got, but it is kind of a nice, just like classic Minecraft feel. People complain about the flat open lands that are more prevalent after the adventure update, but honestly, sometimes it's nice to have flat land. I don't want it all the time. Sometimes I like the cool crazy mountains, but also sometimes it's nice to just stand in a field and just have it stretch super far. I mean, that's a cool feeling. I like that feeling. And the Silver Age versions really scratch that itch. But one of the most famous or infamous things about the world generation in Silver Age versions is the randomness of the biomes. See, before and after this, we actually had temperature-based biomes where a cold biome couldn't be near to a hot biome. But from versions beta 1.8 to release 1.6, once again, there was very unique terrain generation in which any biome could be anywhere. Now, some people didn't like this. They thought it looked dumb to have like a taiga right next to a desert. But I mean, I have to admit, at the very least, it is a very unique world generation. I just think of this as something that's very like characteristic of this era and very sort of iconic to this specific time in the game's history. And I don't know, there's kind of like a weird charm to it. Again, it's weird, it's bizarre, but I don't know, it's kind of a vibe. And some people actually do like it. They think afterwards in release 1.7, the world got too boring because all the biomes next to each other were too similar. And you had to go too far to find, you know, different biome, different blocks, whatever. Another thing that is very characteristic of this set of versions is the massive oceans. This is the only time in the game that I know of where world generation was actually more like separate continents that were separated by oceans, rather than what we have today and what we've had for a long time, which is that land masses are the vast majority of world, and oceans are more just like lakes or inland seas dotted around a world. But no, during the Silver Age, you had actual oceans. I mean, massive, thousands and thousands of blocks of just open, empty ocean before you would find another continent. And the oceans would, yes, surround the land masses rather than the land masses surrounding the oceans. And a lot of people don't like this because it was kind of tedious to navigate. Like, you have to go past too much water in order to find more land, which is exacerbated by the fact that the boats weren't very good at this time. They were still the kind of fragile, weird, buggy, annoying boats. But some people actually do like the giant oceans. And I have to admit, there is something just kind of magical about standing on the coast of a world where you know this ocean stretches miles and miles, thousands and thousands of blocks, pretty much to the end of the Minecraft world, and you could just take a boat and sail wherever you want. There's something whimsical about it. I like it. There's something cool about that feeling. Oh, really quick, I almost forgot. I wanted to talk about beta 1.8. Obviously, I did talk about it a little bit in this video, but just more specifically get into it because this in and of itself is a pretty interesting version. So this is part 1 of the adventure update. And so this added the new terrain generation, it added sprinting, and it added some of the new structures. But however, it didn't add other things like the Ender Dragon, potions, enchanting. And it's just this really interesting, like, in-between version, like a transitional version. And it kind of feels like old beta, but it also feels like early release versions. I find it really fascinating. And I had fun just like flying around a beta 1.8 world here. One of the first things I noticed, remember I was ranting about the swamps, but the swamps in beta 1.8 are actually good looking. They have a nice green grass and leaf color. And like, why did they change this? I don't get it. I don't get why they changed this because I think this looks so much better. I think this actually looks appealing. It still looks like a swamp. It still looks like a swampy area. Like, I understand what it's supposed to be, but it looks like a cool biome also. It looks like a place where I would actually want to maybe settle and build. So I will always lament the beta 1.8 swamps. They could have been so great. They could have been so great. Another thing is, specifically in beta 1.8, before beta 1.8.1, we did have mine shafts in the game. The support beams were just wooden planks entirely. There were no fence posts. I like seeing these because it's so different to what I'm used to, and it's just, I don't know, it's interesting to see the first iteration of the mine shafts. When they go over a gap or like an area where there's no ground underneath, you just get a bunch of like wooden beams in the air and it looks really like crazy. So that's kind of funny. Oh, and the villages. So beta 1.8 is the version where villages were added, but there were no villagers in the game yet. So this is a really interesting just slice of Minecraft history where you could be walking around a world and see a village on the horizon, but when you walk up, there's no one there. Ooh, very spooky. Again, I like the structures that, you know, add a little bit of like mystique and stuff, abandoned structures, you know, because they add some more to the game, more for you to explore and find, but they don't take away from that sort of lonely feeling that the game had in these older versions. Once you add the villagers in, it kind of just gets a little goofy. I never really liked the design of these guys. I don't get it. Why do they look like that? It's weird. It doesn't fit anything.
You said pigmen villagers, not caveman squidwards! Well...
But it's fine, I guess. Beyond all of that, another thing that these versions have is just plain old nostalgia. They are very nostalgic to me and many other people. Like I said, the game was growing in popularity a lot, so I imagine a lot of people have their first memories of Minecraft from these versions. These are the first versions I played when I first owned Minecraft, and they're the versions I grew up with. And they are like, they are almost painfully nostalgic sometimes when I play them. There's certain things about them that can just transport me right back to my childhood. And it's kind of funny because when I play beta 1.7.3, people will actually accuse me and others of just playing purely for nostalgia, you know? But one of the reasons I know that's not true is because these versions exist, because the difference between them is so stark. These versions for me are like the actual nostalgic versions, like that, like really personal, deep cutting nostalgic feeling that you get from something. That's what these versions are for me. And I'm sure for a lot of people, that is a big reason why they play them. Again, not the only reason, but it can definitely be a reason. One thing that the Silver Age I think is heavily associated with is the legacy console editions, the old Xbox and PlayStation versions of the game, because those came out when Java editions were in the early release versions. And even though they started out as equivalent to like old beta, they did eventually update into the equivalency of the Java release versions. And I just think, I don't know, there's an association there because it was the same years, it was the same time in the game's history. And I'm sure so many people are nostalgic about the old tutorial world, that one where it's like a castle. That one, even for me, you know, I was a Java player, but I remember playing the demo on Xbox just like over and over, where you would get to play for like a limited amount of time, you know, on the demo world. And I would just explore that tutorial world around. So I can imagine for people who like, you know, the console editions was their main version, how seeing those worlds again would be super, super nostalgic. And they are just really cool. They're just fun little worlds to explore around. It's a shame we never really got something like that in Java Edition. And so that's about all I wanted to say about Silver Age Minecraft. It's just this interesting sort of like middle ground set of versions. And honestly, I think they're pretty unique. I think they got some cool stuff going for them. And I don't know, talking about these versions kind of makes me want to, you know, just sit down and play one for a little while. You know, I haven't done that for a while. I think that could be kind of fun. And maybe, you know, maybe if there was like a mod, some sort of mod that adds some newer features to one of these early release versions in a really cool way. And if there was a mod like that, I don't know, maybe someone should make a video on that. If you enjoy my videos, please consider joining my Patreon. It is absolutely vital that you do. If you don't, the villagers are going to get me for my hate crimes, and I won't be able to make videos anymore. So please feel free to check that out. You also get some pretty cool stuff. You get access to my beta Minecraft server, my little podcast that I do once in a while, and also sneak peeks on my videos. You get to see portions of my videos before they're even out on YouTube. A very special welcome to our newest members of the guild: Bella, Kitty Monster, Darings, Caltgrim, Hexmagus, Cryathlon, Daniel, and Naomi. Thank you so much for joining the guild. And also a big special thanks to the Silver Age Minecraft subreddit. They helped me out a little bit making this video, just telling me what they liked about the Silver Age, which kind of helped me pin down exactly what things I should talk about in this video. Alright, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you around.